I want Tinubu to do only one thing, and Nigerians will not forget him if he can do that, Bode George. A former deputy national chairman of the South of the PDP, People's Democratic Party, Bode George, has said that there is one thing he wants President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do, and that if he can do it, Nigerians will never forget him. Speaking during an interview with The Cable on Sunday, Bode George said that President Bola Tinubu should implement the recommendations that were made by the report of the 2014 National Confab because the solutions to the problems facing Nigeria are provided in that report. He said, "People are hungry and they are therefore angry. I want Mr. Tinubu to do only one thing, and Nigerians will not forget him if he can do that. He should take the report of the 2014 National Confab and implement the recommendations. The solutions to the problems of Nigeria have been provided in that report. If we can do so, we will remain on the golden pages of history for generations to come." He said that even the Northerners are also complaining that the present constitution isn't working. He said that everybody can now see that Nigeria's constitution is stifling the country's growth. Interesting. It's now to go look at that Confab report and see what would happen from it. Realistically, we can all say all these things. And if you look at your president, how he got into power, the character that he is, well, did we even get to judge him? Because, every avenue for him to represent himself to his advantage in public, he messed it up. He didn't do it very well. So it's a bit like, okay, you're trying to ask water to come from a rock. Like, it's virtually, I think, in my opinion, impossible. Except, again, if Tinubu is another person. But by the fact of the character that we know is in the presidential seat, you can't expect anything else. The old man that he said will relocate to Ghana if Tinubu wins. Interesting. Fair these people. I think in terms of making suggestions, which a lot of people in the comment section agree with, you make a lot of suggestions and the fact remains, will it ever be implemented? And the people in government, are they intentional enough? Because they're the ones with the power. Are they intentional enough to actually implement these changes? That is where the real question is, or else we are all deceiving ourselves. And we will continue the cycle of talking and talking and talking and talking. Things progressively get worse. If you compare 2014 and 2024, exactly 10 years, how can you compare the state of the country, the events that have gone on in the last 10 years? That is in itself a very big contrast. And then compared to those 10 years earlier, and then 10 years before, the 90s, the 80s, what was Nigeria like? So really, we can make suggestions, but look at who you're talking to. If he can do this, if potential doesn't do anything. Why is it that these old men are shying away from the truth? There's massive corruption in Nigeria, in the Nigerian system, and if the system is not controlled, nothing will ever change. You can imagine from the top to the bottom is looting the country dry. How can a country survive with the amount of criminalities going on in our system per minute? The 1999 Constitution should be revisited and every corrupt officer should face death penalty and this nonsense will stop. Interesting. I don't even think the death penalty would do anything, to be fair. Who would enforce the death penalty? You think those that are guilty in the government will enforce something that will take them out? Yes, that of course does not make sense. Change is the only constant thing in life, and unfortunately humans are naturally scared and afraid of change, but there are opportunities in every situation. Nigeria cannot make progress due to the excessive centralization of the government. The so-called developed nations operate the most decentralized system of government irrespective of their nomenclature. Interesting. What do you think about that? When PDP was there, you were busy looting money from NPA. You didn't force the report on PDP to implement. Very interesting. And I think that, as I said, in Nigeria, because we're talking a lot, let's not forget the messages and who the messengers are. More importantly, what objectives are they trying to represent? As someone said, change is the only constant thing, and one thing that can change, especially with political parties entering into power, is intentions and objectives, because that's why in 2014 one person will say one thing, 6 years later, 10 years later, they're saying an exact opposite of what they stood for and what they represented themselves to be. That is a problem. So essentially, you can't even trust anyone who is saying the truth, because yes, you can speak facts, but where are you from? Why are you speaking facts? What are you gaining by speaking all this? That is the most interesting thing. These are the problems. The Constitution controls corruption, and any constitution that fails to control its constitution is a failure. And telling lies that the people have agreed on a constitution when they have not is a gross disservice, and the worst lies against the people of Nigeria. Interesting. A prisoner advised as if he is not part of the people that joined in destroying this country. Interesting. Another comment here says APC are wicked. You are still in Nigeria. I thought you ran out of the country to Niger Republic as you promised. Which advice can you give BAT? That's president. So you're the one talking in exile and you're saying all these things for what should be done and who would look good in the pages of Nigeria's history. Come on now. Wow. What is stifling the country's growth is not the non-implementation of the confab report, but corruption, and it's as simple as that. I don't think Nigerians are out of ideas on what would make the country better. It's about being honest and implementing things that we should, which is where corruption is the biggest killer of why nothing is going to move forward or work in the country. But what I think, and don't forget to like and subscribe.